Good morning, Gills fans. Welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV for a Monday review with myself and Boz, looking back at Wimbledon Saturday. We've had a couple of days to digest it now. We've just been reading the local paper.
Doesn't make for good reading.
It concerns me a little bit. We're talking about our gaffer here, Steve Lovell.
Is it Lovell or is it someone else? Some of it strikes very similar to last season, doesn't it?
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought, yeah. He's annihilated a couple in the press, and I think people have spoken about it on social media. For me, it's deflecting the blame away from himself again, and the fact that he's got selection wrong. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but Tom Eves
It's
and
a
Elliot
perfect
List.
opportunity, wasn't it, to change the system and put players where they should be, really, and instead he just stubborn, really, wasn't it? Stick with.
So we started with, let's go right back to kick-off then. So we saw the team, goalkeeper and back four, no drama with that.
Yeah.
So it was Thomas Holy, Barry Fuller, Bradley Garmston, Max Amar, Alex Lacey. Made sense. So Kwani was injured, so Lacey come in. By all accounts, Barry Fuller was all right at Barnsley, so he stayed in. No drama with that. Tick. Then the midfield. We don't have enough players at the moment to play a functional diamond.
Well, not players that he's willing to use, as in the youngsters that he talked up through the summer, not getting a look in.
Right, so we went with what looked like at the beginning, Mark Byrne at the base, 2 weeks after a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
Which is fine, he seemed fit, so I've got no issue with that
wasn't
in
bad.
hindsight.
No, it wasn't awful.
Callum Riley from the left side of that diamond, no problem, in that system, if he works, regardless of his performance, which we'll talk about in a little while. Josh Reese from the other side, he's a centre midfielder.
Yeah.
Then the problem comes again. Another number 10, who's not a number 10? Who was it this time?
Wilkinson.
So, we've now played how many people in that position this season?
If you include cup games, Christ.
So, Accrington, I think, was Charles Cook or Parrott.
Charles Cook, yeah.
So both of them have played there. They've both, I think one of them played there against Burton. Then Parrott got injured, so we moved Charles Cook there. So it's them two definitely. We've now played Josh Parker there. We've now played Connor Wilkinson there.
Didn't this come on one game and was sitting there for a little while?
Lister's had a period there.
Country, I think.
Might have been for a little while before he changed the system. I think Bradley Stevens or Darren Oldacre have played there in one of the cup games. And now Connor Wilkinson.
Yeah.
And there's your one, your main one, who can't get a look in the league, who Steve Lovell bigged up all summer saying he'd earned a new deal, was looking forward to seeing him more. He didn't get on at the weekend.
And that's the thing, isn't it? We had another sub available and we didn't make any changes from half time.
And how often did we get frustrated with Mr. Pennock last season saying, chuck someone on? I'd rather lose 2-0 having a go.
Have a go,
yeah, exactly, rather than just sitting on what we had. And then the front two were fine. Brandon Hanlon and Thomas Eves. So that's the 11. No issue with them two. They've done all right this season. Hanlon probably needs a goal or a breather, one of the two. You can understand him maybe getting bought off at half-time because there were calls for a red card. I mean, I've still not seen anything on a replay, so I can't tell. It was miles away.
There is one photo, I think on Kent Pro Images, it doesn't look too clever.
Fair enough. So it might be got him off to protect him from a red card, which is sensible. But the changes at half-time. So he took off Brandon Hanlon.
Yeah.
No problem. He took off Josh Reese. I thought we'd done it right. You didn't rate him so much.
Right.
Regardless of that, he took him off. It's fine. So the change for Hanlon was Elliot List. Makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're going to play him as a centre forward, which is what Steve Lovell told us all summer. He's not playing him as a winger anymore. He's not playing him as a wide man. Doesn't like wingers.
And where does he end up? Where does he go straight away?
He ends up at left wing. We end up playing just two in the middle, so we got overrun, or we got bullied out of it by Tom Soares. I'm not going to call him Tom Suarez, like our stadium announcer, bless him, and Liam Trotter. Both big blokes, both know their role. They win it, they give it, and they let others play. We got out-muscled in the middle. It was non-contest. Byrne and Riley, they weren't very good.
Riley was so far off it.
It's probably Callum Riley's worst performance in the dual shirt for me. He wanted an extra touch all the time. He kept turning into trouble. He was loose with possession. He missed tackles. He gave away silly fouls. I think it was a couple of times, didn't he? Dived in round the edge of RD first off. But regardless of that, they're not playing well. But just two centre midfielders. But then we ended up with Luke O'Neill coming on for Josh Reese. Changed it to 4-4-2. So with two right backs playing on the right hand side.
And there was a couple of occasions where they were both chasing the same ball, weren't they?
Well, yeah, because they're going to make, exactly, defensively, they're going to go into the same area of the pitch. So then it leaves a big gap further forward. Or the other risk is, if they both bomb on and make the same offensive run, you look lopsided at the back. But, again, it comes back to Steve Lovell for me. Doesn't like wingers, won't play them. That's the 4th game in a row, I think, that I've seen, that we've played 4-4-2 with not a winger playing. Because we haven't got any, because didn't buy any, because didn't want to play that system. So to then have a rant about Elliot List in the paper, which we've got here, and for me, I thought Elliot List was one of the very, very few bright sparks second period. We had a good 5 minutes at the start. Elliot List came on and didn't have a run. What's going on? A 19-year-old player coming on in League One and not wanting to run, it is not on. People could see it. It was like he was having a stroll in the park. He can run, he can cause problems. He's done it previously. It didn't look as if he had a run in him. I don't know what Steve Lovell was talking about, to be quite frank, because I can count 2 or 3 times off the top of my head where he got to the byline, tried to come inside. I think he won a couple of corners, but because his crosses have hit defenders. There was once when we thought he was going to get his shot off like he'd done against Coventry. So for Steve Lovell to come out and say he didn't run, I think it's absolutely ludicrous, to be quite honest. I think he's quite
up in the out there as well, wasn't he, when we were trying to counter?
Yep. He was the only one that offered us anything, and he was probably one of the very few that it stuck to, because there was plenty out there who I don't know, left their first touch in the dressing room, unfortunately, but he was better than others. Yeah. He weren't great. We're not sitting here and saying he was Lionel Messi or anything like that, but at least he was willing to try and have a go and get us on the front foot. So I think, I don't know what your thoughts are, Steve Lovell's comes from me. It's absolutely
exactly
mental.
that. Like, you brought him on to make an impact, and
he tried to.
A lot of bad days, yeah, but I think he had a go.
So to say he didn't even run, I think I'm not sure what game Steve Lovell watched. I mean, we had this discussion, didn't we? A lot of people, we did match ratings on Saturday, and a lot of people were like, oh, we've done them all too high. I mean, there was the few that were like Bradley Garmster was a 3 at best, and I ignored them. That's just ridiculous. I mean, for me to get a 3, you've got to basically score an own goal and get sent off or something ridiculous like that. So we talk about Bradley Garmster because we had it behind us in the crowd, didn't we? Fans shouting off when he made a foul near the end. That's Gillingham supporters, which we've already touched on the match day live. I'm not giving them too much airtime, but that is frankly, we called it, what did I call it? Pathetic and despicable. It's not needed. It doesn't help anyone. No. First half, I thought he was really good. He pinched possession. He tried to get on the front foot. Granted, his crosses didn't always come off, but I don't think he wasted a lot of ball. Positionally, he was a lot better. I think Callum Riley being that side offered it did help, as poor as Riley was, but at least he's naturally left-sided, so he goes that way, which protects his full-back. And I think he probably gave away the ball twice right at the end of the first half, Bradley Garmster, and that was it.
But that seemed to affect him almost, didn't it?
But for people to say he's a 3 and a 4 out of 10, it's absolutely. Again, I keep saying the same word. I think it's ludicrous. I don't think he was that bad at all. I thought the back 4 and the keeper were all right. Alex Lacey, we said I thought he was really good. Unfortunately, he's misjudged the long ball that's cost us the goal, and ultimately we've lost the game because of it. But he weren't poor for the 90 minutes. I think he won most things in the air. Max Amar did the same. But now we're going to get on to the front players. Steve Lovell contradicts himself here because he says, what chance have our midfield players got if centre forwards aren't going to hold up the ball? And then in another sentence he says, and this is then talking about the midfield, they didn't do it. The midfield never looked for the ball from our fullbacks. If our fullbacks got the ball and you can see our midfield are wanting it, then there is an option. If all you can then see is them running away, the only option is to hit the front men.
So that bit's kind of true.
But it contradicts the bit about the centre forward. So you're moaning that the midfield don't want it off their defenders, so they're having to go long. But you can't expect League One centre forwards, Tom Eaves, Elliot List, Brandon Hanlon, Connor Wilkinson, whoever's up there, they're not going to have a perfect first touch every time. Because, and we've said this to Reece and James, I think, on the Gills Fancast, because they're League One players for a reason.
Exactly.
If they're bringing it out of the sky from 70, 80 yards, 10 times out of 10...
They're not going to be playing for us.
They're not going to be playing for Gillingham, and they're not going to be playing in League One. They're going to be in the Premier League or the Championship. So, again, it doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think the strikers had much of a chance, because quite often it was going long, and they were outnumbered 2-1 sometimes, because the midfield seemed to camp in midfield and not really offer them.
That's it, the gaps were just massive, weren't there? There was huge gaps between the midfield and the attack, and then defensively it was poor as well. And how many times did we say on the Match Day Live, Tom Eaves would get the ball, or Elliot List, or Brandon Hanlon, there was no one within 20 yards showing for a pass. So what are they supposed to do? And then they get surrounded, like you say, by the fullback or the centre half. You're going to lose the ball 9 times out of 10.
We made it easy for their defenders because a lot of the times it was just a striker they had to deal with wherever the ball was going because there was a lack of movement.
And it's so much easier if you've got a ball coming towards you as a centre half, 60, 70 yards out of the sky, you're looking at it. Tom Eaves has got to try and see where his centre half is or his fullback, try and find out where a player is if he's trying to flick it on, one of our own players. Then he's got to think about getting himself in front of the centre half. Well, centre half's just thinking, head this clear, my job's done. Yeah. Tom Eaves or Conor Wilkinson again's got so much more to think about in terms of that run. So for me, I think that the criticism is Tom Eaves' arse because he says here, Tom Eaves is top scorer at the club, I don't care. If he isn't going to do what I want him to do and he can't do it, then he won't play. I'll put someone else here that will do it. I think if you're going to say that, you say it to him personally. You don't say You keep it in the dressing room. You keep that in the dressing room. You can come out and say we were crap, we were rubbish, it was a poor team performance. I've got no issue with that. But to start slating individuals who fed on scraps again, he had nothing to work with all game, and he weren't the only one.
No.
Like Conor Wilkinson. He said Conor Wilkinson ain't done his job. Well, don't play him as a number 10.
Doesn't know his job because it's a different position.
Exactly. Don't play him there. Play him as a number 10. Play him as a number 9 or number 11 as a centre forward, and then if he's not doing his role, then maybe you can justify criticising him. But don't keep putting square pegs in round holes. I haven't used that phrase since last season, when Adrian Pennant was there. But Steve Lovell keeps doing it. We played with strikers as wingers, right backs as wingers, strikers as number 10s. You can even go back further than that. We bought Dean Parrott as an attacking midfielder and he played holding midfield against Burton. I mean, it's great, it's fine when we win, it's all rosy, no one says a word, but Adrian Pennant did that at Charlton last season. He played Josh Wright as an attacking midfielder and Bradley Dack holding and got absolutely annihilated by our supporters. For me, I think this is the most negative we've been under Steve Lovell. And that's going right back to Peterborough last season, the first time he was in charge of us. And we're not saying it's a crisis yet, are we?
No, but I think it's time that a few questions were asked.
I think it's the most challenging period of his reign. I think Reece tweeted Saturday night, 3 wins in 19 competitive games. That's not all just the players.
No, and obviously 2 of them have been at the start of this season.
And then we were speaking, didn't I? Because we said at the game, I said, how many times have we won coming from behind under Steve Lovell? And I worked it out the other day and I tweeted it. 14 league wins we've had under Steve Lovell since he's been there. We've only won 4 coming from behind, which is Burton this season, and then Portsmouth, Fleetwood and Rochdale last season. But the biggest concern for me, that's not too bad, that's probably what, 20-30%? The bigger concern for me, we've lost 13 times in the league under Steve Lovell. We conceded the first goal in 12 of them.
Wow.
So the only defeat that we've had in the league under Steve Lovell where we scored first was Sunderland. So you can take that one, because Sunderland are very, very good.
Pretty sweet.
But that's a concern for me, because that says we can't chase games, and what's the plan B?
There isn't one. It's just plan A, but with different players in them positions.
Playing wrong positions, or going to wingers, which we were never going to play. So I think we've been found out a little bit, and it's up to Steve Lovell and his coaching staff, not the players, to find out a way to make us play better. Granted, you can only coach and you can make changes, and once the players go over the white line, then obviously it's up to the players. Of course it is. Steve Lovell can't go on the pitch, but that's what training ground's for, isn't it? Surely to find ways to...
Didn't we say in the second half, there was quite a lot of times when we were under the cosh and he was just a David Owens foul, didn't it? Screamed out, you know who to me.
Yeah. Mr. Pennock again.
Yeah.
Mr. Edinburgh at the end of his reign, leaning against the dugout.
We had that third sub, which we never used. You know...
That's it, we could have chucked Nolan Bow on.
But yeah, we said that you just stick on Bow on for 10 minutes. He might get a loose ball in the area, you never know.
That's it, you only need a shot to come off, like, let's say, for instance, Luke O'Neill, the keeper saved it to come back into the 6-yard box. At least if you've got Eaves, Wilkinson and Bow in there, their first instinct is trying to get on the end of that. We might have nicked
We're not saying you should be starting these youngsters week in, week out.
No.
If he's going to keep putting them on the bench,
trust them.
Not use them. Yeah. They're not getting anything out of that.
No, not at all, because they start thinking, well, hang about, am I trusted in? Am I trusted to try and get us back in games? Because Navi Nasseri, he's played what? Has he played in the league?
Picture of that tackle.
Has he played in the league this season?
Nasseri, no. He's only played against Pompey.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
It's a bit naughty, that one, isn't it?
Obviously it's only an impact picture, but what do we think, Gills fans? Red or yellow? Let us know by commenting down below at the end of this video, or on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. But we was a long way away, weren't we? But oh look, there's Elliot List running with the ball. Result is all that matters. It was a little bit about Barry Fuller. Got man of the match. Best of a bad bunch, we've said. We're not
very good first half, second half, just like everyone else.
Dropped off a little bit, yeah, but he was probably still one of our better players. There's not a lot else to say, is there, really?
It's the first time, certainly on the Lovell, that I've turned to you and said, I'm bored.
Yeah, we said in the game, we said there was just
nothing. It wasn't like we were
happening.
going for it and we were unlucky.
Attention span was going elsewhere. People were looking at their phones and people were leaving really early as well. I mean, Coventry, we weren't great, but people were staying till the end. The ironic thing was all the people tried to run out and then all came back in because we got the late free kick.
Yeah.
But I think we said at the time, didn't we? It looked a really good save, but looking at the highlights, it was comfortable for him, wasn't it?
But that was all we had to cling to, wasn't it? Because there wasn't nothing else.
Because we didn't create anything in open play, unfortunately. We haven't, let's be honest, for a while now. In terms of match ratings, Luke Cordell's weren't too dissimilar to ours. But apparently he's playing them all on Tuesday at Welling in the King Cup. For me, it's just, that's idiotic. So, because if you play them against Welling and 2 or 3 of them get injured, and then we go to Rochdale next week, and he's then threatening to play the kids if they don't turn up at Welling or whatever.
Well, we know he won't do that because he keeps saying he's going to make changes and doesn't.
Exactly, yeah. So, and could end up costing him his job. If we went to Rochdale and got battered with, say, right, let's pick a team then. So we'll go Hadler in goal. We'll go O'Mara right back. Tucker, Huckle, Simpson.
Yeah.
Oldacre, Chapman, Nasseri, Stevenson. And Bow.
Roman Campbell's the young striker scoring at the moment.
Who's the lad that scored against Sheppey a couple of times? Got hat-trick.
Oh, Henry Arnold.
There you go. We'll go with all them. We roll up to Rochdale, they beat us 5, 6 or 7. Whose head's that on?
And then what happens? Then the following week he puts the seniors back in.
Yeah, but whose head's that on if we got spanked and he's played the kid? That's on Steve Lovell. You can't go blaming the kids because he's put them in because he's had a issy fit about his players not turning up against Wimbledon. We said before the game, if we'd beaten Wimbledon, we'd have been top 8 with a win. We're now down to 17th and it don't look clever. Yeah, it's as negative as we've been all season and probably all reign under Steve Lovell, but we can't sit here and be positive just for the sake of being positive. We've said the positives.
There weren't many.
Probably Barry Fuller, that was really it, unfortunately. And for the most part, the back four looked okay, but offensively, it was shocking. But for me now, it's the second. Just to sum up, it's the second week in a row where Steve Lovell's come out and dug out individuals in the press, which I don't agree with. That should stay in house. And the 2 that he's done it on this week, I think it's unjustified. I don't think it's justified at all. Tom Eaves wasn't great. We're not sitting here and saying Tom Eaves was, Robert Lewandowski or Harry Kane, but I can't remember him having a chance. I can't remember him getting ball decent. The header first half. Yeah, that was it. But there was no pace on the cross, and all he could do was try and direct it back into a danger area, which is what he did. And Elliot List, I think, mental, absolutely mental what Steve Lovell said about him. So, and then to top that off, we have the fans in the crowd basically just baying for our own players to be sent off, labelling him the worst left back they've seen in a Gillingham shirt.
I can name a couple.
I was going to.
Craig Armstrong springs to mind.
There's a few. There's plenty that have been a lot worse than Bradley Garston. No midweek game. Well, Welling, but no league game till Saturday, Rochdale away, and then we go at home Peterborough the week after, don't we? We probably need something out of both of them just to stop the rot a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll be back Thursday for weekly roundup, so we can have a little chat about Welling. Be interesting to see what team does go out tomorrow night, and we will preview Rochdale away. But until then, thanks for the support. Keep doing what you're doing, and until next time, up the Gills.